Heather Sides. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And I am doing my monthly Paper Pumpkin Alternate Ideas video. And I'm excited that you've come to join us. Just kind of move my camera around a little bit here. So give people a couple minutes to come on. Thank you to those of you who let me know that I had my camera running live when I didn't intend to, and I'm really hoping I didn't do anything super embarrassing. I'm sure I probably did, because that's what I do. So while we're waiting for a few people to come on, I'm just going to go ahead and get my computer set up so that I can see comments. Hey Tammy, welcome. So you may see behind me that I'm moving out of the way so you can see I got a new assistant today. I'm a little behind on my Paper Pumpkin ideas for you guys because I found out this morning that I could go get him, and I had to drive 2.5 hours each way to go and get him and bring him home. So anyway, hang on, I'll grab him. Come here. Come here, you silly little boy, come here. Come here. Say hello to all the peoples. Yes, I'll have you come say hello to all the peoples. So this is Phineas. He is 8 weeks old. He's a golden retriever. Yes, and he's a great kisser. I had a golden retriever before who was absolutely the love of my life. And last January, not the one that just passed, but January of 2021, he passed away. And it absolutely broke my heart. And I've been begging my husband for a puppy ever since, and he kept saying, no more dogs, no more dogs, no more dogs. And so I found out today that I could get this guy. So I begged and pleaded my husband, and he gave in. I won't say that he actually said yes. What he said is, just go get it before I change my mind. And that's all it took, and I was out the door. So we went and we picked up Phineas and brought him home. And so now I've been keeping him on the bed in here because it kind of limits how much trouble he can get into. Are you ready to go back to bed? He's actually been sleeping, so now he's probably ready to play. My son was going to babysit while I did my live tonight, but he's tired because I woke him up early to go with me to get the puppy. So, okay, we're going to put you back on the bed. Yeah, say bye-bye, everybody. Yeah. Okay, hang on just a second. Okay, Phineas. There you go. Play with your toy. Okay, so that's my big exciting news today. I have been wanting my puppy for so long. I'm so excited to finally get him. Of course, because it was a last minute thing, I have no supplies for him whatsoever. So as soon as we're done here, I'm running to Petco or PetSmart or Pet something or other to get him some food and a bed and, you know, all those little things that a puppy needs. So that's my plan for the evening. I just can't resist him. He's so darn cute. Okay, so let me go ahead and get this camera turned around and we will get started with our Paper Pumpkin alternate ideas. Hang on just a second. Pardon all the jiggling and shaking while I do this. Okay. All right. Looks like we're pretty good to go here. I do want to get this in the middle. So there we go. Hello, John. I just saw that you joined us, and Tammy's here, and Jennifer's here. Kathy's here. Oh, welcome everybody. Oh no, that's worse, Tammy, that I was playing with the puppy while I was live, because that means I had my rear end in the camera. Nice. That's really lovely. So that's something that you're going to have to try to sleep with tonight. Sorry about that. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. This month's Paper Pumpkin kit was a little bit of a challenge for me. Actually move this stuff out of the way. Because I'll be honest and say that it isn't really one of my favorites. And that's okay. You're not going to absolutely fall in love with every single one of them. But I did want to still try to come up with some good ideas for everybody. So let me show you kind of some of the pieces that were in the kit. I kind of tore my kit apart trying to come together, put ideas together and all that. So I'm limited in what I still have that I can show you from there. But it comes with 3 different ideas for cards to make, and the supplies to make 3 of each of them. So I, of course, made 1 of each of them for you, and I'll show you here in a moment. It also comes with really nice detailed instructions for how you can put those together. So if you're a new stamper or you just want to stamp without having to think real hard, you can follow their design, and they come up with some really nice designs. The other thing you can do is they do on the back have a few alternate ideas for you. So there's a few more ideas right there. And then there's a picture here of all of the pieces that come in it. So you can see you get envelopes that are decorated to match the cards. You've got card bases. There were 3 different card bases, or 3 different designs, and then a bunch of little die cuts and some really pretty ribbon that I am enamored with. And it looks like the color palette for this one was actually quite broad because it's got Bumblebee, Calypso Coral, Evening Evergreen, Misty Moonlight, Night of Navy, Old Olive, and Pale Papaya. So that's a lot of different colors to work with. I am sad to say that a couple of those colors are retiring. So just a reminder that we have launched our retirement list. And if you are interested in seeing what's on there, a lot of the items are at a sale price, and some are like 50% off even. So you can check that out at my website at heathersides.stampinup.net. And I would love to earn your business. But even if you just go there to kind of check out what's available, check out the specials, that's a great place to get that information. So another thing they did this month is they provided 2 stamp sets. You know, every month Paper Pumpkin comes with a stamp set and an ink spot, which is a 1 by 1 inch ink pad. This month's ink pad that came was Misty Moonlight, which is one of the retiring colors I was talking about. And normally it comes with 1 stamp set, but this month it came with 2. So it came with this one with all the flowers and a couple of sentiments, and then this one with just some kind of fun little details and more sentiments. So if you got the kit this month, you really should be able to get a lot of versatility out of this set. Let me show you the stuff that came. This is the ribbon that came with it, and I love this ribbon. It's like a grosgrain, but it's only 1/4 of an inch wide, so it's super easy to work with and tie bows and knots and all sorts of fun stuff. In our January through June mini catalog, we also have this in a 2-pack that includes Misty Moonlight and what's it called? Blushing Bride. And so if you like this kind of ribbon, even though this kit is already off the market, you can get this in those 2 other colors. And I really recommend it. I love it. Like I said, it does come with some pre-decorated envelopes. I only have 2 left, and quite often I will cut mine apart to make more cards with them. Got some matching little tags. They're kind of in a, I don't know what you would call that shape. It's kind of a cross between a hexagon and a rectangle. So I don't know what you call that. But anyway, that's one of the die cuts it comes with. It comes with these white ones that you can see are textured. They're really kind of cool. It also comes with these ones. There's some green that looks like little mountains, kind of a scalloped edge, I guess. Not really scalloped. I don't know what you call it when it's pointy and not rounded. And then some of these strips that are blue. These are the Misty Moonlight. Also came with mini glue dots. Some of the die cuts that came with the set, there's like this mountain. Let me find the other sheet so you can see everything on that sheet. I don't have any that are completely intact because I kept grabbing the wrong ones. But this sheet, it's got a big fern kind of die cut. This one here is kind of reminds me of cattails. Another yellowy kind of fern, pale papaya, just kind of a circle. There's a lot you could do with that. And then these mountain die cuts in the green and the blue. That's Evening Evergreen and Misty Moonlight. There were a couple of just rectangles of different colors. We're going to use some of them tonight. You can see I've already used quite a few. There were these white tags, some are that shape that I didn't know what it's called, but small. And then these are that are just rectangular strips. You could stamp sentiments on these. Here's one of the card bases that came with the kit. I really liked this one. I think this one was my favorite of the three. Then also there's this one. I think this one is really pretty too. I just struggled with what to do with it as an alternate idea. You can see I've still got quite a bit left, so I still plan on playing with them a little bit. So if you watch my social media, as I make more, I will post them to give you more ideas, since I kind of ran out of time today and didn't get to make that many for you. Now the three that came in the kit, with the instructions from Stampin' Up, I'll show these to you. So here's the first one, and you can see they really used all the pieces on this one. And I thought it was going to be a little overwhelming, but it's kind of growing on me. I sort of like it. Then there's this one. This is the one that uses that background that I said I liked it, but I just really struggled to come up with alternate ideas for it. And oh, and also the kit comes with some of our iridescent gems, and so we'll be using some of those tonight as well. And then this one, where it's utilized the mountains and this kind of background that we'll also be using for a card tonight. So those are the ideas that came with the kit. Let's see here. The first one we're going to make is, let me show you this one. Oops. Well, that got the envelope out. I kind of wanted more than just the envelope. This is the card we're going to make. And I did this using the strippy technique, I think is what I've heard it called. So let me grab my trimmer and we're going to get going on this card. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is, let's see, we'll set our envelope aside. I don't typically decorate envelopes for this video just because they come with already created envelopes that are fun. We are going to be doing one envelope tonight though, in a little bit. So this makes a little bit smaller card. What I did is I took a strip that was 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, and then I scored it in the middle at 4 1/4, so it makes a square card. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my bone folder. Okay. And I've got a few pieces here that we're going to work with. You can see I've got quite a few moving parts here, right? So let's go ahead and do the inside piece first, because this will use up a few of those pieces and get them out of the way so I can't lose them. Okay. Whoops, I need these little strips. Now the first thing I'm going to do for this is, this was a strip I just cut. This was a card front, by the way, and I just cut it to 3 1/2 inches wide. I don't even know what the height was on it because we're going to cut it. But then I cut 1/4 inch off of the bottom of it, and this is what we're going to use on the inside of the card. So let's go ahead and glue these pieces together. Just a little bit of glue there. And I'm really just kind of putting it right in the middle of this pale papaya strip that I just made. Whoops. I do like to use the liquid glue for this kind of thing because it gives me a little wiggle room when I set down the piece on top of it. If it's not quite lined up the way I want it, I can still move it around a little bit. So now let's go ahead and glue it onto the card, or onto the little piece. This basic white piece here is going to be the insert to our card. Okay. Okay, got that on there. I've mentioned this before. I like to cut these strips when I'm doing a piece like this on the card. I like to cut them a little bit long because it drives me crazy when they're just a little bit short. And so if I cut them a little bit long, then I can just cut off the extra. Okay. Get my little bitsy pieces out of the way. Now let's go ahead and glue this to the inside of the card. And for this, I'm just using my Seal Plus. I've mentioned this before as well. We have several different types of adhesives, and I pretty much use them all. It just kind of depends on what I'm doing and, you know, what's nearby. And if I am using one for a particular reason, like for example with this strip where I told you I like to use the liquid glue because it wiggles around. If I'm using it for a particular reason, I'll usually tell you that so that it's kind of a little tip for you. But if I don't really give any specific reason for the glue that I'm using, it's just because that's what I chose to use. Okay, so now I have I have two squares here of the pale papaya. I'm going to start with the smaller square. And you know what? Just to get some pieces out of the way, let's take this basic white and let's go ahead and glue it onto the card. There we go. The card is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and this basic white piece is just 4 by 4 inches. There we go. Now, what I did to make these strips, if I can get them, is I just cut them at a bit of an angle. So you can see here is the channel for cutting, and I just twisted the paper a little bit so that it's not perfectly straight anywhere. Whoops, that's my scoring blade. And see how it cut the piece at a little bit of an angle? Then I'm going to twist it again. Let's see here. And I'm just going to make several little strips like this, where I can have the different angles. There's no super precision to this. Oops. That's there. Almost done here. This is, of course, one of the slower parts of making the card, just cutting the strips off. I don't know if we'll use this one because it's got quite a bit of white on it, but I'm going to keep it just in case. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn them over just so that I can see them. Now some people like to go ahead and line them up on their card ahead of time so they know, you know, what order they want to put them and all of that. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't do that, and I can't tell you why I don't do that. I just don't. I just wing it. Okay. So now I'm taking the smaller pale papaya square, and this is just my kind of base, my background for putting these strips on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my liquid glue. For one, the strips are a little bit narrow, and so my seal doesn't really fit. But also, if I need to wiggle the piece around a little bit, I can. Now I like to do this on my silicone glue mat. And the reason for that, I think it's called silicone craft sheet, is because it won't, what am I trying to say? Well, it will make it so that my glue on the back of my strips gets on that and not on the paper below that I stamp on, so I don't have glue everywhere. So let's just put a few of these strips on. Oh my gosh, I've been finding hair everywhere today, and I'm not quite sure where it keeps coming from. Okay. Let's see, put this one on. How many of you have done this technique before? I know it's pretty popular. A lot of people have done it. It's really easy. And you can see the space between my strips is only about 1/8 of an inch. So it's just enough that that pale papaya shows through. Okay. Now, as I'm doing this, I would just like to remind you that, you know, if you like what you see tonight, if you could give me some thumbs up or you know, hit the like button, that kind of thing makes my day. What it does is it tells the Facebook and YouTube algorithms that, oh, people like this video, we should make it more available for more people to see it. So that helps me to grow my business, and I really appreciate it when you do that. Another thing that helps in that way is when you share the video, because you just never know who in your Facebook feed might be interested in something like this. So that helps me to grow as well. So I really appreciate it when you guys do those things. Let's see here. Turn this strip around. You can see this actually goes pretty quickly. Get another, you know what? I think I am going to use that one that had all the white on it. I kind of like it. Let's see here. Okay, we're almost done. Let's use this one here. Now what I want to do with this one, actually I want to wait to put it on, and I'm going to show you why. We're going to take the bigger pale papaya sheet, or square, that I've cut out. Let's trim off the extra that's on here. Whoops. You know, it's funny, I thought this was lined up right along the bottom, and it was not. So we're going to trim a little bit extra off right there. Okay, now let's get all the little scraps here out of the way, especially because they have glue on them, which means they'll stick to anything they touch, usually me. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and line this up on the larger piece. And the reason I'm doing this is when I made my first one, my last strip extended beyond the edge of the paper. And so what I did is I lined it up and then added that last strip so that when it went over, I could make sure it was where I wanted it to be in relation to the last strip there. Let's see, just trying to decide how I want to put this. There. Okay, so now I'm going to take it and cut off the edges. Just the sides this time. I am okay with that extra coming off there because I lined it up with my bigger rectangle. Hi Stephanie, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on here. And we're just going to line it back up on this pale papaya. So what it ends up looking like is like I only used one piece. Whoop, wiggling all around. Okay, now press it down a little bit. So there we go. There's that first piece of this. Now let's go ahead and stick it to our card. I wanted to make sure I had it going the right direction first. How many of you do that where you put your cards together upside down? I've done that so many times. You'd think I'd learned my lesson. Okay, so we've got that piece on there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this fern sort of die cut piece, and you can use glue dots for this. I'm just gonna go ahead and use my glue, my liquid glue, because for me it's quicker. It can be a little messier though, so it's totally up to you what adhesive you prefer. But you can see I'm just putting a little bit of glue on the ends of these leaves. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it on there diagonally across my strip piece. And you know, it's kind of funny. At first I looked at that and I was like, oh, that's way too busy. But it really kind of grew on me and now I love it. Okay, so we also have one of these little white tags. Let's see here. And we're going to use the Misty Moonlight ink. And the stamp that says, sending you birthday birthday wishes. Line it up on here. It's kind of a tight fit, so you gotta really look at what you're doing. Oh. That kind of boogered it up there under the bee, so let's try it one more time. I want to make sure it's straight. There we go, that's a lot better. And I'm going to go ahead and clean my stamp using my Simply Chamois. This is the best stamp cleaner around. And you can find it on my online store as well. Okay, so now we just need to stick our little sentiment onto the card, and I'm going to use some dimensionals, which, by the way, this kit did come with a sheet of dimensionals. Peel the backs off and put this right about here. And there you have it. There's our first card. Pretty simple, pretty quick. Okay, let's go ahead and move some stuff out of the way and get going on card number 2. Okay, so this set, remember, came with 2 stamp sets, and one was the little details. You know, like, I really like this one. I haven't used this stamp yet, but I'm kind of excited to play with it. And these flowers, and I decided to make a card using the flowers. This is what we've got here. And for this, what I did is I cut apart one of those card bases that came in the kit to make this little strip here. This is what the inside of the card looks like. Did a little stamping. And I don't usually put embellishments on the inside because they make the card too thick. But these particular dots that I use, they're the Playing with Patterns resin dots, are flat. So they really don't add a lot of bulk to your card, and you can put them on the inside. So let's go ahead and get started. I also used the Tasteful Textile embossing folder. I'm so sad. This is my go-to embossing folder when I want something that isn't necessarily a particular pattern, but adds a little texture. a little more like a generic texture, I guess. I love this, and it is on the retiring list. So if you don't have this and you've been wanting it, this is the time to get it. So what I have here is, first of all, an envelope, one of the envelopes that came in the kit. I have a sheet of Bumblebee that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at the middle at 4 1/4. On my live presentation on Wednesday, I said, you know, I swear I probably say that in my sleep. 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Then what we're going to do is let's start by working on the inside. Actually, you know what? Let's do our stamping first, which does include the inside. Get all of our pieces here that require some stamping. And let's just do that. So for this, we're going to need the Misty Moonlight ink, the Old Olive ink, and the Bumblebee ink. So I've got those all sitting here now. So let's go ahead and get started. This is just a scrap that it's actually the back side of one of the card bases that came in the kit. And I thought, why waste it? I will just use it for part of my stamping. This is a piece of our basic white, and I'm using it for the inside. And then this, of course, is our basic white as well. So let's start with the flowers. We're going to start with our Misty Moonlight. Lots of people are sad to see this color go, and I have to say that I am one of them. Okay, so I'm going to ink up this stamp here. When I'm dealing with a bigger stamp, I like to lay the stamp down and then take the ink to the stamp instead of putting the stamp to the ink, because I find it just gives me a little more control. So I'm inking it up. Then, there's not really any in the center of that flower there. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is stamp off some of it. I'm going to use my piercing mat just to gives a little extra cushion for these photopolymer stamps that don't have the layer of foam like a like one of our red rubber mounted stamps does. Now I'm going to go ahead and just put this in the corner, right about there. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Bumblebee, and I have a little dot that works in the center. Oh, you know what? I think I put it away. Let me get a block out so that we can make the little dot for the center of the flower. There we go. Get off. There we go. Just got to show it who's boss. And I'm going to stamp the center. Ooh, that could have been catastrophic. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set this aside for now. And we're going to do the flower again on a piece of scratch paper. Or not scratch paper, but the little scrap of paper that I had. Oh, we didn't finish that. That's okay. We'll finish it here in a moment. Stamp it off. And now I'm going to just line this up so that it fits on my paper. There we go. I'm going to clean off this stamp really quick because we are done with this stamp now. Okay, whoops. What I forgot to do is this second stamp gives the little lines and details on the flowers, and I forgot to do that. So let's do that with both of our flowers that we've stamped. So I just line it up. I do find it's easier with this particular stamp if I do the background first and then the lines. Some stamps it's easier to do the detail and then color it in. But this particular one, it's easier to see what you're doing if you do the background first. So let's stamp that on the inside of our card as well. Okay. And the nice thing is if you don't get it perfectly lined up, this one actually has a little bit of extra room around the lines. So it's not as easy to get it out of place, I guess is the best way I can describe it. So, so it looks good no matter what. Clean the stamp. I noticed I had some ink here still on my block on that one. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and do the yellow center of this one too. There we go. Clean it off. Then I have, what I did for the front is I have this piece of Bumblebee that I ran through with my embossing folder, that Tasteful Textiles embossing folder I showed you. And we're going to use that in a minute. But I also have this strip that I did that I also ran through it. And what we're going to do with that, let me put this ink pad away before I do some damage. Maybe. Okay, what I'm going to do is get my liquid glue. Put some glue on there. I actually shouldn't have put it along that whole thing because I know that it's long, but that's okay. And I'm going to line it up right along the bottom there. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of these Playing with Patterns resin dots on the inside here. If I had a little bit more of the big circle there, I probably would put one on there as well. But I think it'll look weird. Let's see. See, I think it'll look weird overlapping that yellow there. So I think I'm going to leave it off of there. Now I've got to find my Take Your Pick tool that I use for everything. This is the must-have tool, I'm telling you. Okay, let's see here. The little putty end usually helps to get these off, but it's choosing to make a liar out of me tonight. Put that on there. There we go. Now let's go ahead and glue that onto the inside of our card. I'm using my Seal Plus again. Seal Plus is typically my go-to for gluing down big pieces like this. Okay, so now the inside of our card is done. The little glue booger off there. Okay, so the next thing I did is I took this piece that I had run through the embossing folder and stuck it down. Sometimes it doesn't like to work as well with the seal because it doesn't, the glue doesn't get into all the grooves of the texture. So liquid glue is a good one for this, or even our tear and tape, because it's such a nice strong adhesive, it really holds onto the paper. Okay, so let's put this on the front of the card, just like so. And then what we're going to do is we've got these other pieces. So we'll start putting some stuff together. Oh, we have one more thing to stamp. Let's go ahead and stamp that so that it's done. What I did is I have a stamp here that just simply says hello. And we're going to use the garden green. I'm sorry, not the garden green, Old Olive. Have I been calling it garden green all along? I hope not. It's Old Olive. Okay. And I'm just going to stamp it onto this square right here. Make sure it's straight. There we go. I probably should have used my piercing mat for that, but it still stamped pretty well, so I'm okay with that. Put the ink pad away. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this piece onto this. So what I'm going to do is just take my, you could use the glue dots that they sent with the kit, or, oh there it is, my seal, and I'm just kind of putting it along the middle, not from end to end necessarily, and I'm lining it up on my strip here. And it's wiggling all over the place on me. Okay, there we go. I want to make sure it's straight. It looks like it's straight. So, okay, so we've got that. Then we also have this piece that, like I said, I cut apart one of the card fronts on the bases that they sent in the kit. We're just going to glue this down onto that strip of old olive. Make sure my margins are relatively the same everywhere. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stick it down on there. What I'm going to do for this piece is I'm going to use the tear and tape. I'm going to want to add a little bit more there because I want it to go from end to end. Now one thing you want to be careful about, if you use tear and tape, it's not super forgiving. So make sure that you are really ready to lay the piece down before you, or when you do lay it down, because once it's there, it's probably going to stay. Now you can pull it off. There are ways to do it, but it can be tricky and it can kind of mess up your paper. So I just recommend knowing where you want it for sure. Make sure it's that's where it's at, and then go ahead and lay your piece down. As you can see, I'm using my Take Your Pick tool again to take the release paper off. And before I did that, I took my bone folder and scraped it along there. It helped to push the adhesive into the cardstock. Now I'm going to line this up right here. And this piece, I'm going to use some of my mini dimensionals. Let's see here. That are stuck to something else right now. And I'm going to put them on either side of this strip. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I do tend to go crazy with the dimensionals. Another thing that would work here, which maybe I should have done, are foam adhesive strips. Those would have been nice and easy there. I think that, yeah, that's a little too high. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to peel all the little backs off. Just over here I have a garbage can next to my desk where I can just toss these right in. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and stick this up here, right about, that looks good. Put it there. Now here's the part you guys are going to probably hate me for, but I'm telling you, the more you do it, the easier it gets. We're going to fussy cut. And I'm just going around the edge of this. I do like to leave the halo most of the time when I cut stuff out. What it does is it does hide errors in your cutting a little bit easier than if you're cutting right up to the stamped image. So there's a little tip for you. The other tip is make sure you're moving the paper and not necessarily the scissors. And it goes pretty fast. And a final tip with fussy cutting is let go of the idea of perfection, because that is what absolutely kills you when it comes to fussy cutting. If you absolutely have to have it perfect, you know, it very rarely is, and that can be frustrating. So if you're able to just let go of that expectation of perfection, then you're going to be a lot happier with your finished product after you cut. And I just realized we forgot to stamp the leaves. You know, like I always say, we forgot, like, you know, you guys knew to do it, right? Okay, so we'll stamp the leaves here in just a moment. Almost done. So what's everybody doing this weekend? Anything fun? Let's see here. Okay, now I like to look at it and see, okay, are there any areas that I cut that I just really don't like the way it looks? Like over here, I cut the halo a little bit bigger than I like, so I'll just trim it down a little. There, good enough. Okay, let's go ahead and cut our leaves while we're, stamp our leaves while we're at it. Have the little leaf stamp. It does 2 leaves, and I really only need 3. So what I'll do is, of course, I'm stamping 4, but I'm only going to cut 3 of them. Okay, clean off my stamp. It's also another hint with fussy cutting is cut off some of the excess, because the more that's there, it just kind of gets in your way as you're trying to move the paper around and cut. So if you can cut off some of that extra that you know you're not going to need, that is very helpful. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Kathy, but I'm glad that you at least have the opportunity to try to sleep it off, because, you know, there's nothing worse than feeling crummy, especially once the weather starts getting nice. You want to feel good too. Okay, so let's see. What's everybody's weather like today? It's really sunny and pretty here today. I am in Spokane, Washington, and this time of the year, it's kind of unpredictable what we're going to get, because like it's pretty and sunny today. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what it's going to be doing tomorrow. It may be sunny and pretty again, or it'll be gray and rainy. Okay, so I've got my little leaves cut out. And I'm going to go ahead and stick these on using dimensionals. So the first thing I want to do is I want to glue my leaves into place. So I'm putting it on this side, and I'm going to put one right there. And we'll get the other one here. There we go. Now let's stick some dimensionals on there. And when I put this together, I used a couple different sizes of the dimensionals, just because I do like to make sure it's secured everywhere. So I used some of the little ones in some of those smaller petal areas, but I think I might just use the big ones this time. Let's see here. Oh, that little back doesn't want to come off. Well, I'll show it you. Remember, you got to show it who's boss. It's snowing there, Kathy. Where are you? That's awful. I'm not a fan of snow, even when it's snowy season. So to hear it snowing in March, almost April, just makes me want to cry. Okay, now let's go ahead and do, I think I am going to put a couple of these little ones on the leaves. Right there. These little mini dimensionals are really awesome because they're great for getting into these smaller areas. You know, it used to be that we would just cut a regular size one in half, which still works, of course. Guess I didn't need that, but oh well. But it's kind of nice to not have to. Okay, I'm just taking the backs off of all of these now. I just accidentally threw my whole piece in the garbage. Okay, let's get all these backs off. This hair on here, what is it with all the hair today? Problem with using a lot of dimensionals, like I tend to, takes a while to get all the backs off. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and take this, and I think I want to line it up about like that. And there we go. Now that card is done. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. I just lied. We're going to put a few of these dots on the front. So I'm putting, even though I stamped the yellow there, I want to put a dot. And then I want to put another dot. And then just for a little extra something, I'm thinking my husband ordered himself a pizza for dinner because he just opened the door and yelled thank you to somebody. Okay, so where did I put that? There it is. So there we go. What do you think of that one, you guys? It's got the envelope that matches. The inside. Ta-da! So card number 2 is done. And let's go ahead and move forward to card number 3. Now card number 3, I really deviated from the kit, but I wanted to show you that, you know, you can use the pieces that come with the kit and do something entirely different. So that's what I did with this card. And I used our Symbols of Fortune Designer Series paper. I also used our little doilies, so you're going to get a chance to see those, and I decorated my envelope. So let's go ahead and get started by decorating the envelope. Oh, stuff twisted weird in here. Okay, so what I like to do, if I, you know, sometimes I'll stamp on the envelopes, but a really easy way to decorate your envelope is to take a Designer Series paper that matches your card. Even if you didn't use Designer Series paper on the card itself, you can use the Designer Series paper that goes with our different color families, and therefore you're just matching the colors of your card. I like to use my liquid glue so that if I need to slide it around, I can. Okay. And I just stick it on there. This piece, by the way, was 2.5 by 6 inches. Find my scissors, and I cut off the extra. If you accidentally cut your envelope, not a huge deal. You know, really, the chances of you cutting it super drastically are pretty slim. You're just going to cut a shred off, a little hair of it off, if you do, and so no one's going to notice. Okay, so now the envelope's done. We'll let it sit there and dry while we make the rest of the card. Okay, so this is just a standard card base. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Use my bone folder to get a nice crisp edge here. And let's work on the inside first. So I've got a piece of basic white. And then I have, this was one of the strips the little die cut strips that came in the kit. What I did is I just cut 1/4 of an inch off of it lengthwise, so that way we're going to use this piece on the front and this piece on the inside to tie them together. All this requires is just a little bit of glue here. There we go. Cut off my edges. I need to get some better lighting in here. My husband got me a nice little light for my phone to use during my live videos for Valentine's Day, but it doesn't work if you're using a stand that has like a clamp on the back, because the light also has a clamp on it and it wants to be there. So I can't use it. I need to get a different one. Now this, usually when I make a card and it's upright like this, I put the stripe along the bottom. If the card's going this way, which this one is, I typically will do it so the stripe goes along the bottom also. I decided to do it a little different this time and put it on the side. There it is. And if I didn't say it, this is Calypso Coral. Okay, so now the inside of our card is done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is one of our doilies. I thought I had the whole pack of them somewhere because I wanted to, oh, here it is. Because I did want to show you that when you buy these doilies and they are, ooh, yeah, they're in this, maybe, I'm trying to think. I think they're in the spring mini catalog. But you get 3 colors. There's this kind of cinnamon cider, and this gray, and then there's the misty moonlight. But what we're going to do tonight is we are going to do something a little different. These are all white on the back. And you know what that's nice for? That is nice for making it any color you want it. So I have a crumb cake, a light crumb cake Stampin' Blend marker, and I'm just going to go over it just like this with the brush tip. And I like to do this first. It dries pretty quickly because it is an alcohol-based ink, but I do like to do it first because it gives the ink time to kind of sink into the paper, soak into the paper, so you have a really good idea of what color you're working with when you go to mount it onto your card. Okay, now and I know it's making this little area in the center kind of different colors, and it looks like I colored it with a marker. That's okay, because we're going to cover that up, so I'm not worried about it. I'd be a little more careful with it if we weren't covering it up, but since we are, it's fine. Okay, now what we're going to do is I have 2 circles that I used my, oh, I didn't bring them over here. My absolute favorite die set is my layering circles. And, oh, I think it's on the retiring list. Let me look. I want to let you know for sure, because if they are being retired, I want you to know that so that you can go ahead and get them before they go away. Because, like I said, these are my all-time favorite dies. I use them all the time. I should have made my list in alphabetical order. Huh. So maybe they're not. Maybe I'm lying to you. That would be good. If I'm lying, that's good. I don't see them on here, so I think I just lied to you. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to take the Sahara Sand ink. You could probably use the crumb cake, but I just liked the way the marker, when the marker dries and soaks in, the colors go together really nicely as if they were intended to go together. So now what I'm going to do is I have the stamp that says thanks. And first thing I'm going to do is stamp right in the middle, because if I do it right in the center of my circle, the whole word fits. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and move it up just a little bit, lining it up with the one below it. I'm going to do that again. That one's a little crooked, and now I'm going to go downward and do that. Okay. And now let me clean off my stamp really quick. And we're going to stick it onto this Calypso Coral scalloped one that I cut out. Now it's kind of a tight fit on here, and you got to be careful to make sure that you don't go off the edge somewhere, because you can see it's a really, really narrow margin on there. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and stick it right onto my doily. Okay, next, this card comes together pretty quickly, even though it's got a lot of parts. So this is a piece of designer series paper from the Symbols of Fortune designer series paper set, or Symbols of Fortune designer series paper from the Symbols of Fortune suite. There we go. And this is a piece of Sahara Sand cardstock. We're just going to go ahead and glue this down. I've got a pretty narrow margin on here again. I like to do the 1/8 inch margin. What it does is it just gives you that little bit of finish around the edge. I think it just looks more finished. I got a little bit crooked there, so we're going to straighten it out. There we go. Much, much better. Then we're going to take the other part of that strip. Remember, we cut off a part for the inside. Now we're going to take this piece and I'm going all the way to the edge of the Sahara Sand. Just like so. I want to make sure it's straight. It looks straight to me. Then I'm going to take my doily, and the way I'm placing my doily is it's going close to the edge. In fact, it kind of goes off the edge on the bottom and the side. So we're going to glue that on there like that. Make sure my words are straight. They do appear to be. And now we're going to go cut off the extra. Got a little bit extra there. Okay. And now we're going to mount this onto the card. I mounted it myself with dimensionals. Had a hard time getting that word to come to me. I'm going to find a good sheet of them here. Bear with me, I need to get another pack to open, it looks like. My poor little assistant is out like a light. He worked hard today. It took a lot of energy just, you know, living. Okay, so got the back side of this. Let's put some dimensionals on there. Ugh. Oh, I was hoping this wasn't another pack that had, there were some for a while there that the backing was sticking to the dimensional, and it, you know, you still can get it off. It's not a big deal, but it was kind of a pain in the patootie. For big pieces like this, I actually really prefer to use the foam adhesive sheets, but I'm out of them and haven't placed an order to get more yet. So I'll just use 100,000 dimensionals. I'm gonna peel the backs off really quick into the garbage can over here. Okay, and I'm going to stick it onto the front of my card, line it up, make sure my margins are where I want them to be. Looks a little bit crooked. We can fix that. Let's try it again. Okay, there we go. So card number 3, it's all done. No, it's not all done. We're going to put some of those iridescent dots. They're iridescent rhinestone basic jewels, and remember I said that the kit comes with some. So let's see. Let's put maybe a couple here. Hang on. Excuse me. I've done so many lives, and this is the first time I've actually sneezed during one. Okay, and then I'll put one right there. So we've got a few, just to add a little something extra. And there is our third card. So let me move some of this stuff out of the way, and we can kind of take another peek back at all the cards that the kit made. Like I said, I will be making some more, so watch my social media. I'll post them as I do make them. Move stuff out of the way. Okay, so these were the ones that came in the kit with directions from Stampin' Up. There you go. And then we have the ones that we made tonight. Got this one. And this one. Our thank you card. And this one with the flower. So you can see there really is still a lot of versatility with this kit. There's a lot you can do, and I do hope to have more for you soon to see. So, oh, John says they had 50 degrees today and tomorrow, and then back down in the 30s in Maine. Yeah, the East Coast, you guys get some funny weather. Okay, so that's everything that we made tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, if you did, I would love some thumbs up or some likes. Share the video. That helps me grow my business, as I said. And you know, if you need to shop for some supplies or you want to sign up for the next paper pumpkin kit, you can do so at my website, and I would love to earn your business. heathersides.stampinup.net. If your order is under $150, then please use this host code. This helps me to be able to earn things that I can give away in my weekly videos that I do every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock Pacific time. But if your order is over $150, then don't use that code, because you'll have some Stampin' rewards coming to you. I want to make sure that you get them. So again, heathersides.stampinup.net, and I would love to see you guys next Wednesday when I do my live, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Oh, you're very welcome, John. Thanks for joining us. Hope everybody has a great week. Bye-bye.